This is Townsquare Sunday on 1420 WBSM, a place where people come together to talk about some of the good things happening in and around New Bedford. A place to share, a place on the radio for the people.
Come together right now over me.
And now, the moderator of Townsquare Sunday, 1420 WBSM's Jim Phillips.
And welcome to WBSM's weekly public affairs show, Townsquare Sunday. I'm your host, Jim Phillips. It's not officially summer yet, but staffers in the city's Office of Marketing and Tourism have been working feverishly during the past year, putting all the pieces together for the celebration of summer 2018 in New Bedford. Dagney Ashley leads the Office of Marketing and Tourism. Welcome, Dagney.
Thank you for having me.
Good to see you again. No lack of events in New Bedford this summer. It seems that way every summer, really. We've had you in the past to talk about the summer season. And this year, I'm sure, a lot of traditional events that happen every year, and perhaps some new cultural attractions as well. Give us an overview, first off.
So, as you said, there are a lot of traditional events that will be back again this year. But we always like to include in those events, the event coordinators are always putting together something new that they can add to these events every year that, makes people keep coming back to the events that we all, come to know and love in New Bedford. Jazz Fest, Cape Verdean Recognition Parade, Taste of South Coast, Folk Festival. There's lots of new happenings. There's always a what's new section in all of these events. Then we try to work with other event coordinators to try to bring some new events. So not so new, the Food Truck Festival and Craft Beer Festival, that will be back again. Last year it came to New Bedford for the first time. It was very successful. Close to 4,500 people came out for that, so we're excited to have them back this year. But also new this year, this summer is all year long, is the Frederick Douglass 200. We've been celebrating that all year long. New Bedford Historical Society has put together a long list of events all year long, including this summer. That's available on our website as well, but there's so many events that they've included in celebrating Frederick Douglass 200th birthday celebration.
Okay, first let's nail down the website, the name of the website.
DestinationNewBedford.org.
All right, so there's a complete list there, first off. We want to share that with you. DestinationNewBedford.org, a complete list of events coming up for the summertime especially, but all year round, really. And it ranges from, festivals that Dagney has alluded to that we all know, and some new events as well. There is an effort being made to have more cultural events in New Bedford and bringing some of those events right into neighborhoods. The city has hired a new cultural director to kind of work with these groups to get them to focus on that. How's that going?
That's going really well. They are in the phase 2 of the citywide arts and culture plan. They expect to wrap up phase 3 in June. And then our arts and culture strategist, we call her, she is working to start putting together folks to help her implement that plan. And you're absolutely correct. Some of those cultural events being spread out throughout the city. She's working with the Arts and Culture Steering Committee right now on some programming aspects throughout the city. So that will be happening throughout the summer and continuing thereafter. So, she's a welcomed addition to doing some more programming, not just in the downtown, but in all of the, neighborhoods in the city.
Now, there are some events that are already in neighborhoods. We don't want to say that doesn't happen in New Bedford.
It does.
Cape Verdean Recognition Day, for instance, after the parade, there's an event in that particular neighborhood. And there are others as well. You might even say, this may be a stretch, but the Feast of the Blessed Sacrament is happening in a neighborhood. It certainly does happen.
The Day of Portugal.
The Day of Portugal is another event that happens in our neighborhoods here.
Mayan festival.
Right. Well, let's talk about that for a minute. 'Cause that
Cinco de Mayo Festival, those all happen in neighborhoods.
Yeah, the Mayan festival, which is that? How long has that been going?
Putting me on the spot there. I don't know how many years exactly for that one.
Because it's new to me. It sounds new.
I would say it's relatively new.
Yeah.
But these are all things that are happening in neighborhoods. Some of the parks, bringing out, cultural, not just cultural community, but cultural visitors to these neighborhoods.
When is that happening? When, do you know,
You're putting me on the spot again for the dates, right? Because I have like 100 dates on it.
We can check the website.
DestinationNewBedford.org for a complete listing of all events, dates, and times.
All right, very good.
Is that a good? I think that's a good answer.
Yeah. It's always hard to measure how many visitors come to the city. It's kind of a guesstimate, really. But based on some numbers that you receive from attractions, from the Whaling Museum and other attractions that happen in the city. How are we doing with that? What about last summer?
Last summer was about, and this is an aggregate, right, of all the attractions in the city. That report, so we're only as good as the reporting numbers that we're receiving. And it's about 475,000 people in a year, which is a good number, and it's on that trajectory path to keep going higher. So we're guesstimating this year with all the new events and cultural attractions and programming that we could be around 500,000 visitors to the city of New Bedford, which is a good number.
I think many people would be astounded by that number.
I think so.
That is, they wonder if it, number one, there's a lot of skeptics in New Bedford. They might wonder if it's real. But number two,
it's real.
It is real. But number two, are they repeats? Are they really local folks going out and not really visiting New Bedford per se, but coming here for an event? But the fact is, we are generating a lot of traffic, a lot of consumer traffic, frankly,
which
generates these
events. An economic impact to the city.
And in the long run generates hopefully jobs and just a lot of good things that can happen from the economic boost that is coming from tourism and cultural events. I'm thinking about, something happens every week. Is that pretty much?
Something pretty much happens every day.
Right. Yeah.
Sometimes we look at the calendar and we're in awe that the calendar is so full and fruitful with, daily programming events. There could be something happening at the library or the art museum. There's performances all the time with the Zeitarian Theater, the Festival Theater all summer. At the symphony orchestra. If you look at the calendar, it's pretty close to saying every day something is happening in the city of New Bedford. So when people say to me, and anyone that's local, what's there to do in New Bedford? I'm like, what's there not to do in New Bedford?
Sure.
If you go to the website and check out the events, I'm sure you can find something that piques your interest. On any of the attractions, any of the cultural institutions, the museums, and events. And of course, summertime's here. Everyone wants to get out, right? We've had a rough winter, so people are looking for those outdoor kind of, festivals, events, attractions that have some kind of outdoor programming. So we always, definitely want to promote that because we want to enjoy the spring and summer. But the cultural institutions also have new programming as well.
And you don't have to wait for June 20th or whenever the kickoff of summer here, because there's stuff happening in May and early June.
Oh, yeah.
We've got Taste of the South Coast coming up here pretty quick.
Viva Portugal, which is a relatively new event that happens in downtown, but it's done very well. Outside
of the, it's still done on that block outside the Zeitarian.
It is. You're absolutely correct. And then Jazz Fest shortly after that.
So there's things happening.
There is.
Is your job to go out and attract these performers, or is it your job to coordinate events and work with the people who want to stage these events to make them, appropriate, culturally acceptive, those kinds of things. Your job, I think, is a lot of the latter.
Yes, and I'd say more so what mostly consumes a lot of our time is marketing New Bedford, marketing and tourism, for New Bedford, doing the destination marketing, getting people to see that New Bedford is an asset, and that there are lots to do and see in New Bedford. We're a top-notch attraction. So that's first and foremost. But in regards to events, a lot of time these coordinators are professional. They can, they might ask us for some marketing support or promotional support. But include that on our websites, things like that, social media, share those things, and get the word out there. So when we're going to conferences, marketplaces, or trade shows, we have that information readily available at our fingertips to promote that as part of the destination.
You're listening to Townsquare Sunday. My guest is Dagney Ashley, the Director of Marketing and Tourism in the city of New Bedford. You mentioned the Food Truck Festival, and it will happen again in July. 4,500 folks, certainly not a bad turnout for the first one here, and as the word gets out. And by the way, folks, the Food Truck Festival, they have their own marketing arm. They advertise these things throughout the year, as you might imagine, down south in warmer climes in the wintertime, and up here in the summertime here in New England. But it is a great take and a lot of fun for folks, and it's going to happen again.
It definitely is going to happen again. That is a great festival to host in New Bedford. And as you said, they do have a marketing arm. They do 20 festivals across America, from New Mexico to California to North Carolina to Florida. So we get that extra marketing arm when they're promoting.
Sure.
Yes.
And I've seen ads on the internet, and you click on the link, and New Bedford is part of that advertisement.
Yes,
so.
We're definitely appreciative of that extra marketing arm.
Folk Festival, still going strong.
Absolutely. That's one of the highlights of the summer, too.
Yeah. Now, are all the performances now at the Zeiterion, has that been the thought, or are there performances on the street in tents?
There are other things happening. The streets are blocked off. They'll have some food trucks as well down at the Folk Festival. Of course, they have the crafts.
Yeah.
And they have vendors down there. So, yeah, it's a pretty good wide footprint where people can get around downtown and enjoy the Folk Festival.
Recall the dates for that?
That is July 7th and 8th.
July 7th and 8th, so it's practically right around the corner. The biggest crowd seem to show up, of course, for the Feast of the Blessed Sacrament. It is a must for many, many, many people, not only in the city but out of the city, to come back home. You really can't beat it. Free admission, free entertainment. You get to see a lot of people you probably haven't seen in a while. That, I think, is one of the real highlights of the feast for many people. Go back and just see friends you haven't seen since high school, and maybe even further back. Who knows? But clearly, it's always been a winner. They've done a great job with the feast, and not only organizing it, but keeping it in a safe place. Your thoughts on that attraction? It's really done by the club Meterance. They do it. The city has some involvement, but they do it.
Yes.
Do you work with them?
Yes, we do. We work on the marketing aspect of the feast. Recently, we just attended an international tourism summit in Cape Cod last week, and they are very, very much interested, and these were all international tour operators, to that kind of large cultural event festival that's happening in our city. They are also interested in a whole host of other things. But the Portuguese Feast definitely stands out amongst international tour operators looking for that kind of large-scale event that has that kind of world recognition to it. But folks travel from all over to come back for that, for the feast every year. and book their vacation ahead of time.
Across the country,
Yeah.
Canada,
Yeah.
you name it. A lot of folks come back to New Bedford that weekend to enjoy the feast. Music is always a big winner, isn't it?
It is. It is. Music.
Whether you're
music's-
staging concerts on the waterfront, in a park, big crowds guaranteed. So we're going to see some of that, aren't we?
We sure are. We have
Yeah.
6 concerts lined up for the Pier 3 summer concerts.
Okay.
So people are already calling. I think the warm weather brought out that feel of music on the pier. So those are already live on our Facebook as Facebook events. And we will be doing more marketing and promotion and a press release regarding the summer concerts.
Where can people go to get more information about the summer schedule?
DestinationNewBedford.org, and we're available on all social media channels as well.
That's the place to go to get specifics for these events, but it's going to be, as you heard Dagney say, a jam-packed schedule, practically something happening every day in New Bedford to celebrate the culture of New Bedford, the artists of New Bedford. It's really a busy schedule, and thank you, Dagney.
Thank you for having me.
For the staff and the work that you've done here to make this happen. New Bedford is certainly a lively place year-round, but certainly in the summer.
It definitely is. New Bedford is a true gem.
All right. Thank you for coming in. Best of luck this summer.
Thank you very much.
All right. Up next, Townsquare Sunday will continue in just a moment. Don't go away.